Hi guys, so I want to show you how to use Adobe InDesign to create the template of a book. It's pretty straightforward. It's quite similar to Photoshop, but it has a few quirks. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go over to the left-hand side and click Create New. This is going to bring up kind of like the new page on Photoshop. So for what we're going to be doing as like the most basic sense of a book to get started with, there's a few settings that you need to make sure of. So over here in the sizes, you want the width to be 148.5 millimeters and the height to be 210 millimeters. That's A5 basically, so it's half A4. And what it means is you can have, it's basically, if you imagine these books, it's an A4 page folded in half and bound together. So each individual page will be A5. And then when it's open as a double page spread, it will be A4. You want to put the number of pages as 12. And you want to put the start number as 1. You can ignore all of this stuff down here, but it's these kind of 4 things that you want to make sure of. You also want to make sure that facing pages is ticked. Once you've done that, if you go ahead and press create, you basically get something that looks a bit like this, okay? So that would be your front cover when the book is folded in half and closed. Then when you open it up, you've got your double page spreads. So that's basically how it works. So what you can then do is start adding in some images. So we'll add some in of my beautiful cats. So you can just click and drag, and then if you click again, it will drop that image in. You want to go on the sort of top selection tool over here. That's going to enable you to move it around. Now you'll see there's a blue outline around the edge of this image, and then if I double click in it, that outline turns orange. This is where InDesign's a little bit annoying. So that blue outline, basically it thinks of your image as 2 separate things. It's the frame of the image and then the actual image itself. So if I try to resize this while the blue outline is there, it's going to crop my image because it's changing the size of the frame, not the size of the image itself. If I then double click on it and I get that orange outline, I can now resize the image itself to fit inside the frame. You can also use these buttons over here, fit frame proportionally, fit content proportionally, and so on, all right? If you try and move it while it's on the orange outline, it's going to move your image, but not your frame. So I'm just going to Control Z to undo that, click off of it, click back on, and we've got our new blue outline again. So that's then going to move everything. That's the most annoying thing, to be honest. That's probably the biggest thing that's different between InDesign and Photoshop. So keep an eye on whether you've got a blue outline or an orange one. If you're not sure, just click off of your image and click back on, and then you'll have that blue outline and you'll be able to move it around freely. You've got quite a lot of freedom with the way that you do text. So if I go onto the text tool, which is the capital T, just like it is in Photoshop, I'm going to click and drag to draw a text box, and I'm going to write book title in there. I'm going to select everything. And then over on the right hand side, you've got your text control basically. So here you've got all of the different fonts. So you can select, whatever it is that you might like. You've got the sizes, so you can change what font size it is. Here, this like VA with the line under it is the spacing between each letter. So you can make that, as big and as kind of spread out as you want. Or you can make it really quite like densely, tightly packed together. So there's a few things you can kind of play around with in there. It's pretty handy as well. You've got like change case like you have on Word nowadays. You can change the color of it. There's lots of different things you can do. And again, you just go onto this selection tool to move that text box around. So those are the kind of initial basic things. What you might find when you first put your images in is that they look really like pixelated and rubbish. That's fine. Basically, because you're going to be putting lots and lots of images into your book, InDesign automatically makes them as like previews. So all you need to do to change that is you can right click and go to display performance and then you can put it on typical display or fast display. And basically, as you change that, the image is going to get more and more pixelated. It just means that it's able to work quickly, even though there's a lot of data. So don't worry if your images look pixelated when you first put them in. And then the other thing to remember is the way to save these. So because, again, you're putting in loads of images, InDesign doesn't want to make it a massive file. So it comes up with these things called links. So your image isn't actually in there. It's like a preview of that image. So when you go to save it, when you're happy with it, you will need to go to File, and then rather than going to Save, go all the way down to Package. You'll get a little window up like this. Just click Package, click Save, name it as Book 1, for example, press Save. Then it's going to ask you to do a folder, blah, 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 all of that fun stuff. Just press Package, press OK. And that then basically makes this whole folder, which then has the actual InDesign document, which is what's open there. It will have a PDF of that InDesign document. It has the fonts and it has the links. So those are the images themselves. So it's really, really important that you remember to do that. But those are kind of the InDesign basics to get you going. And then if you have any further questions, obviously you can just ask myself.